She told me not to be possessive, said her body belonged to her and her alone. That was her response when I calmly asked about the dark, unmistakable hickey on her neck. I didn't argue. I told her she was absolutely right. Then, later that morning, I quietly went online, logged into my insurance portal, and removed her as the beneficiary of my life insurance policy. Replaced her with my brother. That was the moment she unknowingly discovered just how unpossessive I truly was. When she lost her claim to the only thing I had full control over, my future, she finally understood that freedom came with consequences. It began last Tuesday morning. The moment I opened my eyes, I saw Itha Hickey. It wasn't vague or questionable. It was bold and intimate, a deep bruise just beneath her ear, angry in color and shape. And I hadn't put it there. I'm a firefighter. Every day I walk into burning buildings, face collapsing walls, and pull people from wreckage. I've trained myself to stay calm when the world is falling apart, but lying there in bed, looking at that glaring bruise, I felt something worse than fierce, something cold and suffocating. Betrayal. The fire hadn't started at work, it had started right here beside me. In truth, the warning signs had been flaring up for months. I'd just chosen to look past them. Sarah and I had been together for 3 years. We'd lived together for 2 in the apartment I had bought long before she ever entered my life. In the beginning, everything between us had been calm, sincere, even joyful, the kind of love that feels like a foundation you can build on. But then everything changed. She got a new job, a flashy marketing position at a sleek downtown startup. Suddenly her world shifted. She was surrounded by people who drank too much, who laughed off commitment, who lived on impulse. And that mindset seeped into her. She started pulling away from me, criticizing our life together for being too still, too normal. She spoke more and more about independence, about needing space, reclaiming herself. Her nights out grew longer. She'd come home reeking of smoke and cheap liquor, often not before 4 a.m., claiming she'd been at team mixers. Her phone became sacred, always face down, always clutched tightly. She stepped away to take calls, guarded her messages like secrets. Still, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Trust is essential in my profession. I figured it should be in love too. But every time I tried to express my concerns, she twisted the conversation. Somehow, I became the problem. I wasn't being vulnerable, she'd say. I was insecure. I wasn't asking for honesty. I was trying to control her. My need for clarity, my desire for partnership, was labeled as toxicity. She turned self-protection into accusation. I swallowed it all. Until the hickey, it changed everything. It was the loudest signal yet. I didn't scream. I simply sat at the edge of the bed and waited for her to wake up. When she finally stirred, I pointed to her neck and asked, "What's that?" Her hand flew up to touch it, and I watched the color drain from her face. She bolted to the mirror and cursed under her breath. A few moments later, she returned, mask back on. Not shame, not regret, anger. That was her armor. Always offense, never admission. "It's just a bruise," she lied. "It's a hickey," I said flatly. "Please don't insult me by pretending I'm stupid." Her body tensed. "Fine," she snapped. We were dancing. Things got wild. "It's not a big deal," I asked quietly. "Who were you dancing with?" She folded her arms across her chest and delivered the sentence that unraveled everything. "I don't have to answer that. Don't be so possessive. My body is mine." Her eyes locked on mine, daring me to challenge her, but I didn't need to. That single sentence told me everything I needed to know. She wanted the right to let others touch her, mark her, enjoy her, while still enjoying the roof. The warmth, the safety I had built for her. She wanted all the benefits of a committed relationship with none of the loyalty. That morning, I didn't get angry, I just nodded. "You're absolutely right." She took that as a victory. A sly smile crept onto her face. She believed she'd preserved her so-called freedom without losing any of the comfort I provided. I left the room and made coffee. As it brewed, I thought about what she had said about control. She accused me of being controlling. But what did I truly control? Not her choices, not her body, not her loyalty. The only thing I had full authority over was my own future. That's when I remembered the life insurance policy. Firefighting isn't a game. Death is never theoretical for us. It's a daily risk. When I first joined the department, I took out a sizable policy. It wasn't just paperwork, it was a promise. A way to make sure that if the worst happened, the woman I loved would be taken care of. That woman, back then, had been Sarah. I'd made her my sole beneficiary. I sat down at my desk, coffee in hand, logged into the insurance portal, and there it was. Sarah Miller, 100% beneficiary. Fiancé. The word sat there like a lie. That word used to mean something: unity, partnership, shared dreams. But now it was hollow. We weren't a team anymore. We were just two strangers sharing space. Click, edit. I deleted her name. Entered my brother's instead: Michael, the one person I could count on, who had never betrayed my trust. Save. A green check mark appeared. Done. With one quiet click, I had erased her from my future. In the days that followed, she grew more brazen. She didn't hide anything anymore. She flaunted her nights out. She openly texted the guy who had left the mark. She strutted through the apartment like she'd won something. Like the argument was over, but I didn't argue. I didn't react. I just watched her celebrate a victory that wasn't hers, oblivious to the fact that I had already reclaimed everything that mattered. The moment I had been waiting for came with the firefighter charity stair climb. It's an annual event, the most grueling test we face outside of the job itself. 50 stories. Full gear. 75 pounds on our backs. Firefighters from all over the state show up for it. My brother Michael was flying in to watch. I'd trained hard. This year I was ready. A few days before the event, I sat Sarah down. My voice was calm, almost kind. With the stair climb this weekend, I said, and the risk that comes with my job, I think we should get our affairs in order, just in case. Her eyes softened, curious. What do you mean? Just basics, I replied. Bank info, account numbers. I also want to review the life insurance policy, make sure everything's clear. I want you to be protected, you know. If anything ever happened, her entire posture shifted. She saw it as a sign of love. Maybe she thought I was trying to fix things. Her voice went soft. It's really thoughtful of you, Ben. I spent that evening gathering documents: bank statements, mortgage records, a full asset sheet. I even made a clean summary page for the insurance policy, but I left the beneficiary line blank, deliberately, a silent setup. The night before the climb, I sat her down again. I laid the folder between us and spoke with measured sincerity. Let's go through this together, I said. She nodded, mostly disinterested, until we got to the final page. The summary. Her eyes lingered on the number, the coverage amount. Wow, she whispered. I didn't know it was that much. Yeah, I said softly. I want to be sure you're taken care of if I fall off a ladder or something. I gestured to the blank line. I just need to officially write in your name. She smiled, then a real smile, wide and hungry. The kind people wear when they think they've just won something priceless. Of course. Baby, she beamed. I picked up the pen, hovered it over the space, then paused. My brow furrowed as though something had just occurred to me. Actually, I said, tapping the paper, I can't. She blinked. What do you mean you can't? Well, I began slowly. After our talk last Tuesday, I logged into the policy to check the details. And when I saw the word fiantro next to your name, I realized something. That word implies a bond, mutual respect, shared values. But after what you said, when you told me my body is mine, it struck me. You're right, we're not really partners anymore. Her eyes darkened. We're just two independent people, and calling you my fiancés would be inaccurate. So, I updated it. I made my brother the beneficiary, someone I trust without question. She stared, stunned. Her confidence drained from her in seconds. You're right, I continued. Setting the pen down, Your body is yours. But my life, my career, my risks, they're mine. And I've chosen to leave those in the hands of someone I can rely on. Then came the explosion, shouting, sobbing, accusations. She called me manipulative, cold. She said I'd planned the whole thing to hurt her, but I just met her eyes and said, "No, you did. You made the rules." I simply lived by them. You wanted freedom without responsibility. But in my world, those things always go hand in hand. That night, I ended it, told her I wanted her out of my home. Out of my life. The next morning, I climbed the stairs. It was hell. My lungs burned. My legs screamed. But every floor I conquered felt like shedding weight I'd carried too long. When I reached the rooftop, drenched in sweat and gasping for breath, Michael was waiting. He hugged me tight and handed me water. "You did it," he said. "I'm proud of you." Both knew he wasn't just talking about the climb. It took Sarah a month to move out. The weeks that followed were filled with rage texts, guilt-laced voicemails, desperate attempts to shift the narrative. I didn't answer. I had work to do on myself, on my peace. I heard through a mutual acquaintance that she tried to start. Something with the guy who'd left the hickey. It fizzled in under a month, without the structure of the life I had built for her. Her chaos wasn't so charming anymore. She used to say I was possessive, but she never understood that. What she called control was actually care, safety, loyalty. I wasn't trying to cage high, I was trying to build something stable, something real. In the end, when she chose temporary freedom over that, she didn't just lose a boyfriend. She lost a man who was quietly, fiercely building a life just for her.